today we're gonna be watching another fern video. The title you already know, Inside Japan's Secret Torture Lab. Okay, and yeah, it already sounds crazy, and yeah, let's watch it together and see what was this torture lab and how, where it is. And I always like some Japanese kind of stories because they are really kind
Warning,
of
the
scary.
following content may be disturbing for some viewers as it sheds light on a rarely discussed dark chapter in Japanese history.
Got it.
1938. A mild summer day in China on the grounds of Unit 731. Professors, scientists, and military doctors are conducting important research here. Now, the workday is coming to an end. The adults are drinking beer by the pool of the facility. Children are playing tug of war. It's a beautiful sunset.
Okay.
The people next door in the barracks are unaware of this. For them, there is no end to the day. No yesterday, today, or tomorrow. They don't know if it's day or night. They know only one thing. A cruel death awaits.
Damn. 1938. Bro, this animation and editing is always sick, man. Big ups to this team for real. The Dark Secrets of Unit 731. Oh, okay.
The First World War ended nearly 10 years ago, claiming 17 million lives. Japan fought alongside the Allies. As a result of their victory, Japan's economy is now thriving. The empire, under Emperor Taisho, is a member of the League of Nations. Japan enjoys good international relations, participating in conferences on disarmament and arms control, all in the name of preserving peace. In Geneva, the seat of the League of Nations, Japan signs a historic protocol.
The high contracting parties, so far as they are not already parties to treaties prohibiting such use, accept this prohibition, agree to extend this prohibition to the use of bacteriological methods of warfare, and agree to be bound as between themselves according to the terms of this declaration.
The prohibition of these weapons is a reaction to an incident in the First World War. For the first time, German troops systematically used poison gas as chemical weapons. The result was so horrific that the 36 founding signers decided such a thing must never happen again.
Damn.
About 9,600 kilometers away from Switzerland, a 33-year-old military doctor in Japan reads a report on the Geneva Protocol. He is electrified and sees it as confirmation of a theory he has been nurturing for some time. Biological weapons must hold enormous potential if they are so reviled. And he comes to a conclusion quite different from that of the signatories in Geneva.
If the prospect of germ warfare created such dread, Japan must do everything in its power to create the most virulent germ weapons, as well as effective methods for destroying wartime enemies with lethal diseases.
This military doctor, named Ishii Shiro, will devote his entire life to researching methods of biological warfare. In this endeavor, he will be aided by around 20,000 employees, and an estimated 300,000 people will fall victim to Japan's bioweapons program.
Damn. Man with ambition.
Ishii is regarded as very intelligent, if not even a genius.
Okay.
At the same time, he is described as ruthless, extremely arrogant, and ambitious. Someone who would stop at nothing to advance his career. When he pitches his idea to the military leadership, his ultra-nationalist stance becomes evident.
What if enemy states attack us with biological weapons? Then we would be helpless. And we can take advantage of new weapons technology offensively. What if we face a shortage of iron and steel during an economic crisis? We can kill two birds with one stone. Biological warfare saves money and resources while creating an invaluable killing potential.
In 1928, Ishii, likely on behalf of the army, embarks on a 2-year world tour. He aims to collect research findings on biological warfare. When he returns to Japan in 1930, the political landscape in the country has changed. Under the new Emperor Hirohito, ultra-right politicians are in power. Japan's economy has been severely hit by the global economic crisis. In these circumstances, Ishii's ambitions find fertile ground. He wants to create an entirely new institution, the Institute for Epidemic Prevention. Once again, he pitches his idea to the War Ministry, claiming that other countries are secretly developing biological weapons too. That's what he supposedly discovered during his world tour. Now the War Minister himself becomes interested in Ishii's research. The government provides him with the necessary resources. They revive Japan's chemical warfare unit, a remnant from World War I. In 1932, Ishii's institute begins its work. Ishii and his team experiment with the pathogens for glanders, cholera, typhoid, gas gangrene, anthrax, and plague. Ishii is particularly interested in the latter. To him, the plague is one of the most dangerous potential bacterial weapons. During his travels, he studied the effects of the plague in Europe from the 14th to the 17th century. The institute's name conceals the second part of Ishii's research.
There are two types of bacteriological warfare research, A and B. A is assault research, and B is defense research. Vaccine research is of the B type, and this can be done in Japan. However, A-type research can be done abroad.
The problem with biological weapons is that pathogens don't distinguish between friend and foe. An out-of-control epidemic would endanger millions of people in Tokyo. And Ishii is convinced to develop the perfect biological weapon, a bit of lab research is not enough. He wants to test his developments on a large scale, regularly, extensively, on human subjects.
Damn, man.
The political climate is perfect for Ishii's plans. Japan's new military leaders want to expand. They are more aggressive than their predecessors. Some of them aim to occupy Manchuria. The Chinese region is militarily weak and rich in resources. In 1931, Japan makes a move and actually occupies the region. A year later, they established the puppet state of Manchukuo. The invasion of Manchuria is considered Japan's most decisive early step on the road toward totalitarian fascism and war. In Ishii's eyes, the now Japanese colony is perfect for his work. Potential accidents wouldn't endanger the Japanese population. Vast, sparsely populated areas guarantee secrecy. And then there are the inhabitants themselves, human subjects for his experiments. Ideal conditions for A-type investigations into biological assault. Thus, Ishii requests the relocation of his institute to Manchuria. In order to tell this story in depth, we pored over books, analyzed documents, and created detailed animations, all to make a tough topic such as this one accessible.
The horrors of Manchuria.
In Beijing, he builds the world's first bio-war death camp.
Here we
Fortress
go.
is a combination of research laboratory and prison camp. It doesn't take much to be sent there by the Japanese colonial power. Soon the prison cells are filled with bandits, guerrilla fighters, partisans, communists, dissidents, and intellectuals. Suspicion that a person might be anti-Japanese minded is enough. They become part of the A-type research. Human experiments with biological weapons. How many prisoners were killed is unknown to this day. The average life expectancy of the prisoners is about 1 month. Japan tries to keep the activities at the fortress strictly secret. In Tokyo, the government knows exactly about what's happening in the complex. None of the high-ranking politicians speak out against the killings, or as the scientists there call it, sacrificing human beings. But before Ishii and his team can really get going, the Beijing fortress becomes a security risk. A group of prisoners manages to escape. An ammunition depot is blown up, probably by a group of communist resistance fighters. The project could be exposed. Ishii orders the fortress to be destroyed to cover up any possible traces. He presses the Japanese government. The new site for his research should be even bigger, even more remote. No one should be able to escape. In 1936, Emperor Hirohito personally issues a decree. Ishii's institute is to expand. It becomes part of the Kwantung Army, creating a large network of locations. The headquarters are built in Pingfang. The unit stationed there is given the number 731. A code name that will go down in history. Pingfang is in a remote area, but still near the South Manchurian railway line. The new tracks leading to Pingfang officially don't exist. The secret trains that run there have a single purpose: transporting supplies, human ones included.
Damn.
About 150 buildings are erected over 6 square kilometers. A power plant, administrative offices, prisons, stables, greenhouses, autopsy rooms. There's even an airfield for the unit's air fleet. Trenches line the perimeter of the zone. Electric fences and watchtowers secure the area.
Yeah, this will be kind
The
of hard
airspace
place
above
to
is a
get
no-fly
away.
zone. Ishii runs the headquarters. He's in charge of 3,500 employees. He has recruited many of Japan's best medical researchers. They are all focused on one question: how can plague, cholera, anthrax, and so many more diseases be weaponized for war?
They only care about this. The body of
As staff
horrors.
bring in a middle-aged prisoner to a room, he's quiet. He knows it's over for him.
Yeah.
He's stripped naked and tied to the bed. But when the medical assistant picks up a scalpel, the prisoner finally starts screaming.
I cut him open from his chest to his stomach,
Oh.
and he screamed terribly. His face twisted in agony. The sound was unimaginable. He screamed so horribly. But finally, he stopped. This was just another day for the surgeons, but it really stuck with me because it was my first time.
This Chinese
Sheesh.
prisoner has been deliberately infected with the plague and is now being dissected alive. The researchers want to see how the plague ravages his internal organs. Anesthesia isn't used as it could interfere with the results. Between 1936 and 1945, at least 3,000 people are murdered in experiments like this one, though the actual number is likely much higher. As the Pacific War breaks out and Japan later attacks Pearl Harbor, Unit 731 carries on undeterred. Since the unit is now officially part of the army, they receive new orders. Push the human body to extreme conditions to see how it reacts.
Wow.
To study frostbite, prisoners
They
are
aren't
forced
stopping.
to stand outside barefoot. Specific body parts are submerged in water to freeze them. Prisoners are locked in pressure chambers to test how much pressure the human body can withstand until their eyes pop out of their skulls.
Oh my
Women were
God.
forced to become pregnant to study how diseases like syphilis transmit from mother to child and how likely that child is to survive. Even though a large number of babies were born in captivity in Pingfang, most likely none survived. We
Oh
could
my
go on
God.
forever. The list of unspeakable, unimaginable atrocities is so unbearably long. In the labs, there are large 2-meter tanks where human bodies float in formaldehyde, cut in half from head to toe.
Bro, that's
In
what you
other
see in
jars,
movies,
body
man.
parts are stored, all neatly labeled and documented. Feet, hands, heads, organs. Next door, the bioweapon production is in full swing. Division 4 of Unit 731 produces 1 ton of cholera bacteria, 500 kilograms of anthrax, and 700 kilograms of typhus bacteria per
Wow,
month.
that's a
They
lot.
develop bioweapon bombs and test them in the field. On a test site, prisoners are tied to stakes and bombarded with test weapons. Planes spray parts of occupied zones with bacterial cultures, and bombs filled with infected fleas are dropped on areas. The unit wants to know how many people will die. Troops contaminate wells and water sources with cholera and typhus. At its peak, the unit's bacterial production could wipe out the entire world population multiple times over.
Damn. Protecting the
After
research.
long years of war, World War II is finally drawing to a close. The Allies control most of the Pacific. Japan's major allies, Italy and Germany, have long since surrendered. Japan is the only Axis power still fighting. On August 6 and on August 9, 1945, the US drops atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, pushing Japan towards surrender. Now, something stirs in Pingfang. In a panic, Unit 731 scrambles to destroy all evidence of their crimes. Their research can't be allowed to fall into Soviet hands. They gas
Right.
the remaining prisoners and shoot the forced laborers. The remains of bodies are thrown into a nearby river. On August 10, 1945, 5 days before Japan's surrender, the unit blows up all its buildings. Infected test animals are released into the wild, causing major epidemics in the region. Around 30,000 people die as a result. Ishii takes the most crucial records with him. He and other senior officials fly back to Japan in comfort. The rest of the staff travels in 15 freight trains, then disappears. They leave behind 2 million biological weapons in Manchuria. Similar scenes play out at other sites of Ishii's institute. Overall, at least 580,000 people die due to Japan's bioweapons research.
Wow. Half a million, man.
Fearing he might be charged as a war criminal, Ishii stages a large fake funeral for himself in 1945 in his hometown of Chiyoda.
Fake funeral.
But the ruse fails. In February 1946, he is found by the US Army. The Americans already know about Japan's bioweapons research center. The Cold War is already looming. They too have experimented with bioweapons during World War II, and they are after the Japanese data.
Such information could not be obtained in our own laboratories because of scruples attached to human experimentation.
Like the Japanese, they think this data must not fall into Soviet hands. The Japanese bioweapons researchers see an opportunity to escape punishment for their crimes. The meetings and interviews between the US and Ishii's group are well documented.
If you grant me immunity for myself, my superiors, and my subordinates, I can give you all the information. In preparing for war with Russia, I offer you the advantage of my 20 years of research and experience.
The details of the negotiations remain disputed. What is clear is that the information is deemed by the US to be
of such importance to national security as to far outweigh the value accruing from war crimes prosecution.
They strike a deal. None of the senior bioweapons researchers, including Ishii, ever faces trial. While Nazi doctors are tried as war criminals at Nuremberg, most of the Japanese involved live out their lives free from prosecution. The Soviet army captures 12 members of Unit 731 and puts them on trial in Khabarovsk in late 1949. They confess to dropping bombs filled with plague-infected fleas on civilians. They speak of inhumane experiments on humans. The West dismisses all of it as a communist show trial. After short prison sentences, they are released. They too use the research data to secure leniency. By 1956, the convicted were free and returned to Japan. Many of the leading bioweapons researchers lived quietly in Japan in the following decades. The war criminals who have dissected living bodies rose to positions of power. The governor of Tokyo, the head of Japan's biggest pharmaceutical company, the president of the Japan Medical Association, and other major offices. There's overwhelming evidence that the Japanese government knew about the atrocities. Yet, it wasn't until August 2002 that the Tokyo District Court finally ruled that Japan had engaged in biological warfare.
Its main purpose was to research, develop, and produce biological weapons. In order to do this, prisoners from the Chinese resistance forces were used as the subjects for experiments.
Finally it
no compensation was awarded. In 2018, the Japanese National Archives released a list of the 3,607 members of Unit 731. Ishii didn't live to see it. He died of throat cancer in 1959. Before his death, he regularly attended reunions of his former unit. Almost every year, former members gather. Some still deny to this day that they ever participated in human experiments.
Of course they would. This was the video, another banger by Fern. Amazing graphics, amazing animation, amazing 3D animation, amazing editing as always. But yeah, bro, this was really crazy. As I don't know, every time some video from Japan is always shocking and crazy, like really different from outside, like from the other countries, you can say. But yeah, this was the experiment, the brutal experiment which was done on humans by Japan just to test their biological weapons for World War, and which thankfully they did not get to use them, but yeah, they did prepare them, and they were ready to be used though. and Ishi Ihora his name was, and that guy was smart and genius, you can see, as for in the video they said. And he was smart and genius, like how he planned everything from start till the end, and how he also planned his fake murder or fake death, you can say. But of course he got caught later, which was good, and he died from throat cancer. But yeah, overall good video, W video, and got a lot of views as well. And yeah, a nice video by Fern, which was kind of shocking because I really wanted to watch this because it was on Japan. And if you don't know, I like Japan videos, especially the shocking or the scary stories about Japan. And yeah, with that, I'll see you guys in the next one.